name's Leslie Carol Botha. I'm one of the 6 women who presented our research and data to the FDA on March 12th. We are a group of 6 women, including a mother whose daughter died after receiving the Gardasil vaccine, another whose daughter suffered adverse reactions. I have to say, none of us have ever met. We have conference called, we email daily. We have become a very tight group of women. In the last 3 to 4 years, we have offered our time to research, educate, and communicate the potential dangers of the HPV vaccines. You can read all of this. I will tell you that the script, the handouts that we refer to in this presentation, and the PowerPoint presentation are found on the Truth About Gardasil website. That's truthaboutgardasil.org under FDA webinar documents. We have a lot to cover here. I will tell you, we don't know what will happen with the FDA. This was a listening session. We do know that our research, our 250 pages of documents, PowerPoint, and our script were passed around to all the departments at the FDA. They're available through the Freedom of Information Act. We've had the FDA, U.S. Congress, Health and Human Services Secretary Office on our website, as well as lots of different countries, lots of hits from institutions and governments on the Truth About Gardasil website. We speak on behalf of families around the world to bring justice to the thousands of adversely injured girls and the estimated hundreds of girls who have died from Gardasil and Cervarix. We are Karen Maynard from New Mexico, Rosemary Mathis, North Carolina, Frida Burrell from Scotland and the United Kingdom, Janie Stokvis from the Netherlands, Cynthia Janik from Illinois, and myself from Colorado. There are thousands of concerned parents with tens of thousands of questions. 7 are addressed in this presentation and are substantiated with research and data. 1, my daughter is now sick after the HPV vaccination, has warts on her hands and feet. Is HPV really only an STD? 2, my daughter has received an irregular Pap test 2 years after the vaccinations. I thought the vaccine was supposed to prevent this. 3, why is my daughter so ill now when she was always so healthy before the vaccination? 4, after reporting my daughter's reactions to VAERS, I became curious to see how many other girls are like my daughter. There are so many. I am now afraid my daughter will not get better. To date, and I'm going to interject here, there are now close to 18,000 adverse reactions on the VAERS reports, 64 deaths on the VAERS reports. We're still estimating that only 1 to 10% are reporting. We are getting more reports coming in around the world on a daily basis. Number 5, I am 18 and my friends and I got the shots. Why did I get an immune disorder and they did not? 6, how does the side effects my daughter is experiencing compare with other children? And 7, why did my daughter die? The international story, spreadsheets, and graphics and graphs that have been prepared represent a sample of the injuries occurring to adolescent girls globally. When reading the many reports of girls adversely affected, it becomes quickly evident that the symptoms they are experiencing are part of a pattern of events that are similar wherever the HPV vaccines are administered around the world. What this means is, people, there's no such thing as coincidence here. We are documenting patterns of events no matter where this vaccine is being administered. We are now back at work, all of us, especially Cynthia Janik and Janie Stokvis, combing through these 18,000 reports and categorizing these patterns of events. The handouts, and in particular the graphs, demonstrate these very points. The graphs, a lot of them are in the documents that we refer to and can be found on truthaboutgardasil.org. Gardasil and Cervarix synopsis. Cervarix. Cervarix is intended for the vaccination of girls and women 10 to 25 years of age for the prevention of the following diseases caused by HPV type 16 and 18, including cervical cancer, CIN grade 2 or worse, or CIN grade 1. Biological changes in the cervix around the time of puberty render young girls particularly susceptible to HPV infection. This period coincides with the initiation of sexual activity, which is considered to be an important factor in the acquisition of oncogenic HPV infection. So we're going to get to number 1. My daughter is now sick after the HPV vaccination, has warts on her hands and feet. Is HPV really only an STD? We've got studies here regarding HPV contact. This is one of the great myths, and that is HPV is only sexually transmitted. This is not true. HPV virus can be transmitted vertically, and it can be transmitted in utero. It can be transmitted hand-to-hand contact under the nails. So what we have here is a problem with girls that may be exposed to HPV even before they are sexually active. And the research that was carried out in this paper submitted to the FDA was on young women who tested positive for the HPV strain 16 or 18. And the facts speak for themselves. The table indicates that the efficacy of Gardasil after vaccinating infected young women dropped to a staggering minus 44.6%. This not only left these women completely vulnerable and without any protection, but has also put them, in our opinion, at greater risk of getting HPV CIN3 lesions in later life. Using only the Gardasil group, this breaks down to 20 out of every 100 women will have CIN2-3 or worse. The risk of introducing a vaccine concurrently with an infection is unfortunately the trigger to more serious problems in the future. And I've jumped ahead here. Let's see how far I have jumped ahead. Let's see where we are. Okay. So here we have Table 17, study applicants' analysis of efficacy against vaccine-relevant HPV type CIN or worse among subjects who were PCR positive and seropositive for relevant HPV types at day 1. And this is from a study that has been cited here, and you can all see this. And you see in that very right-hand column, the second to the right-hand column, that there is a minus 44.6% efficacy rate, and that's what we were referring to in this. That means that girls already exposed to the vaccine, already exposed to the virus, and who already have the vaccine have a negative 44.6% chance or 44.6% chance greater risk of getting cervical cancer. Now, as you can see in this next slide, there we go, that the participants that were both PCR positive and seropositive for the HPV types in the vaccine have a 33.7% greater chance in the same column, and now we're talking about Cervarix here, in the same column, and a greater chance of cervical cancer. There is no reason to believe that this will not, well, this is also Gardasil, excuse me. There is no reason to believe that this will not also apply to Cervarix. The small print on the GlaxoSmithKline Cervarix product insert states, Cervarix does not prevent HPV-related lesions in women infected with HPV 16 or HPV 18 at the time of vaccination and has not been shown to have a therapeutic effect. The statement cannot be much clearer. The above data shows that Cervarix has a negative efficacy similar to Gardasil. If a participant was DNA positive and seropositive, they are 32.5% more likely to acquire cervical lesions, in our opinion. They even state that the vaccine did not show a therapeutic effect in subjects HPV DNA positive. So our conclusions here, evidence detailed regarding the poor efficacy of both Gardasil and Cervarix on already infected women has to be investigated further. In fact, the National Vaccine Information Center has posted on their Meta Alerts page 272 cases of abnormal pap smears reported to theirs up to 2 years post-vaccine. That is a huge concern. And again, with only 1 to 10% reporting, those numbers could be astronomical. One of the things that we are concerned with, and I'm jumping to this screen, does HPV screening take place